Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Corey, and alongside me is my good pal Tony. What's going on, Tony?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I can't complain, man. Can't complain.
Good deal, good deal. So tonight's going to be a really good episode. We're once again we're skipping the Maniac episode. Kind of sucks, but I still yet to get a copy of that, so slacking a little. But
No, I'm
tonight,
slacking. I'm trying to get you. I had to get you a copy, and I keep forgetting. So I in that boat too, man. I'm slacking.
it's good. We've had rough weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
But tonight we're doing George Romero. So we're gonna actually have a discussion on George Romero, just talk about some of his filmography and I guess almost like the legacy of him. You and I both actually sat down and met him before, actually right before he passed away.
Yeah, right.
Um, Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say literally right before he passed away, man. And
Yeah.
just got lucky enough to actually meet him at a convention. So it was really, really surreal. The fact that after we met him, he kind of is, passed away and everything, and it's we got lucky, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I was quite happy that I got to meet him right before he passed. Kind of
Yeah.
sucks because I always kind of regretted because well, we'll get into it, but I always kind of regretted not getting a one sheet signed by him. Not in a one sheet, but a what do you call it? Like a still.
I
I
still.
didn't yeah, I didn't get a still signed by him, and I always kind of regretted that.
Mm,
And I remember leaving the convention going, you know what, this isn't going to be the last time I meet him, and
mhm.
sure enough, it was.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah. I got
yeah,
my regrets. I got my regrets too. I guess we'll get into that a little later about not saying or not asking him more questions when I got to meet him. I was so nervous, and it was a big deal for me to meet George Romero. One of my favorite filmmakers. So I kind of got a little starstruck at the moment, and I didn't really kind of small talked him. Didn't really ask him questions that I wanted to. Just kind of forgot, and then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll have another chance to do that, and sure enough, that's what happens. You think you can get back with somebody and connect and ask them the questions you just kind of spaced out on, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So, yeah, I have my regrets too, man. I kind of wish I opened up a little bit more when we met him and kind of asked him a little bit more, production questions and stuff about his films. But unfortunately, I won't get that chance, and I regret that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So before we get further in depth with obviously this episode and everything, um, have you picked up anything? Have you watched anything?
Oh, actually, yeah, I have too. As far as pickups concerned, I picked up one movie. Picked it up on eBay, and it just came in this week. But it's called I can't even really pronounce it right, and if I'm butchering it, I apologize. But I think it's called Pie, and it's I'm not really too sure about it. I know it's an IFC Midnight title, and I saw it at Walmart at one point, and I was like, I need to get that. And before I knew it, Walmart had just done away with it, and I couldn't find it. So I found it on eBay for a good price, and I just went ahead. And, it's a good price. Let me go ahead and pick it up. Thinking it was going to be used when I bought it, and then it came in today, and it was still sealed. So I was like, oh wow, that's surprising. I didn't expect that. So yeah, I
Mm,
picked that up. It's kind of a blind buy. I don't know really much anything about it. So kind of excited to sit down and watch that when I get a chance to. But as far as watches this week, I have watched a couple films this week. Um, four uh, movies, and one of them is this interesting story. I've had this DVD for a while, but when I bought it, I didn't realize it was Region Two. Um, so for the longest time I couldn't play it, just because I didn't have a region free player. So I got a whim. I was like, well, let me try putting it in the PlayStation and see what happens. So I put it in my PlayStation 4, and when I did that, it gave me the option to switch the region code. which was pretty cool. I didn't know that, but unfortunately, my PlayStation 4 only gives me 4 chances to do that. So after switching it 4 times, it'll lock it to that region code, whatever that may be. So I
Mm.
was like, well, I don't really want to play around with that. So I switched it once to play the movie just because I really wanted to see it. I've had it for the longest time and I've been wanting to check it out. Um, so I switched it and watched the movie, and I was damn blown away by it. It's such a fantastic movie, and the movie's called Livid or Livide. It's a
Mm.
French film. The same guys that directed Inside, um, and it's a really really fascinating movie, man. It's I really don't want to say too much about it because I feel like I'll spoil it, but um, it's just a fantastic movie. Very gothic, very atmospheric. Takes place on Halloween. There's a Halloween 3 reference in there, which is really really cool. Um, and yeah, it's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about this movie. Um, Another movie I watched, I just wanted to pop in Hellfest and watch that just to kind of get. I'm in Halloween mode already. You know, it's September and I'm just feeling October, so I popped in Hellfest just to watch it, and just because I like the movie, it's fun and had a good time with it. It's really fun. It's like one of those guilty pleasure movies for me. A lot of people shit on it and don't like it, but I enjoy it. And then I popped in Leatherface just to check it out. Um, Coincidentally enough, didn't plan on this or anything like that, but Leatherface was directed by the same duo that directed Inside and Levide. So,
Mm.
yeah,
Uh, uh,
interesting.
Tony, I'm sorry to bother you for a minute or interrupt, but have you ever seen Leatherface?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have seen it before I watched it today or this week.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know if that was a first time watch or not.
yeah, I saw it when it first released on Blu-ray and picked it up. Got it home. I know it was on VOD and whatever, but I never saw it that way. I waited till the physical release came out and then picked it up and watched it. Um, it's a movie I'm still kind of torn on. I don't know if I really, really like it. There's some things I really enjoy, and there's some things I'm not too big on. But I think with more repeat watches, it'll probably grow on me a little bit more. Um, so,
It had a huge impact when I first watched that film, to tell you the truth, because honestly, like when I sat down and I okay, so it was an accidental discovery in a sense because there for a while my wife was, like every week she was just picking me up random ass horror films at Walmart because she would go like once a week. So and she would show up and she'd be like, "Hey, here's this movie." And she bought two movies that day, and she bought The Girl with All the Gifts, and she
mhm,
bought Leatherface, and I was like, ugh, I cringed when I pulled Leatherface up. Like I was like, I didn't really want to give it a fucking chance.
yeah.
Um, and it sat on the shelf for quite some time because I just didn't want to give it a chance at all.
Mhm.
That movie surprised the shit out of me. I was like, holy hell, this is actually pretty good.
Well, as far as I mean, as far as direction wise, it's solid because these two guys are just fantastic directors. They have a way. It feels like there was a lot of uh, a lot of studio interference with this movie.
Hmm.
Steven Dorff blew me away. Like he's so good in it, and so is Lily Taylor. Honestly, Lily Taylor's fantastic. But they're just not, especially with Steven Dorff. He's not on screen too much. So, you know, I just enjoy his performance. He's a standout in that movie. And like I said, there's some things I like, there's some things I didn't like. I mean, if you stack this movie up with the rest of the filmography, it's not even close. I mean, Inside, Levide, I think they did another movie called Among the Living, which I want to track down and see because I just love what these guys do. When they have original ideas and original concepts, they just knock it out of the park. So, um, like I said, I'd love to watch that one too. But that's another one you can only get on Region 2 DVD. I believe maybe Region 2 Blu-ray, but it's not region free, so it's going to be hard to track that one down.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the last movie, the last movie I watched, and the title was just fucking hilarious, man. I love the title. It's not a porno, I swear to God. It's called Tonight She Comes. It's such a fucking bonkers, weird, just insanely bizarre indie film. It There's so much shit in the movie that just makes no sense at all. It's almost like a fever dream. Like it. It really is just so bizarre. It's a movie we'll have to watch on a movie night, dude. I think you will fucking just enjoy the hell out of this movie if me and you sit down and watch it. Um, Especially around like Halloween time, that would be really fucking cool. It's bonkers, man. I can't even properly explain this movie. There's just so much weird shit going on. Essentially, it's like a cult trying to, you know, I guess release or kind of subdue a demon, but the demon is this like fully naked chick walking around just tearing shit up. It's fucking bizarre, man. It's so weird. And she's full frontal, like everything, like completely naked, like the whole time, the whole movie. And there's just so much bizarre shit going on. I'm telling you, man, it's one of those ones you have to see to believe.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I'm game for
It's
that.
yeah, it's just something you have to see. You just have to. You'll be fucking laughing your ass off because it's one of those movies where it's like it's shot. It really, I don't know. It's not comedic, but there's comedic moments that are just out of place that don't make sense with the structure because the structure is very very like serious. But it's I don't know, man. It's a bizarre movie. You just have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely need to have a movie night. I'm
Yeah, this
definitely game.
this one. I mean, I'm telling you, if me and you sit down and we have a movie night, I'm bringing this one because you got to see this to believe it.
Uh, I'm
But yeah,
game.
that's, those are the four I've watched this week so far.
Okay.
What about
Um,
you? Watch anything this week or pick up anything?
no, I we went to Walmart, and I of course I was in search for the fog, obviously, because I'm on the hunt now because a lot of people found the Scream Factory at Walmart, so I'm trying to find it, but I just can't find it. And I actually went and looked for the barge people because you were speaking so highly of it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I wasn't able to get anything, so that
Okay.
sucked. But but let's see. As far as watching stuff, um, I honestly I went to pop in Suspiria, and it was like late one night, and I was like 2.5 hour long movie,
Yeah. I
and
think it's
it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and
oh, there's no way.
yeah, I was like, yeah, there's just that's not gonna happen. And then I think I went to like cut on Netflix. I was gonna watch a horror film, and then my kids were like, "Oh, I want to watch like Barney or something." I'm like, "Crap, okay." So honestly, I haven't watched anything, and yeah, just time slipped me throughout the weekend. So, but hopefully I can start getting some watches in. I need to just randomly just start popping, make these kids watch horror films at this point. That way I can watch some movies.
I actually had yeah, I actually had something pretty cool happen last weekend. Me and the kids were hanging out and they wanted to watch a couple of movies. I was like, yeah, okay. So we ended up watching a movie, two movies in particular. I watched a lot when I was a kid. You kind of like I haven't seen them in so long too, man. So it was really cool revisiting them with my kids.
Hmm.
But one of them was Angels in the Outfield, which is really fun, really really
So,
cool. Yeah, yeah, man. It was so fun watching that with him. Jonathan got really into it. He was really digging it. And then another one is Tall Tale, which is a movie I absolutely fucking adore. I love this movie. I watched it so many times when I was a kid.
yeah.
And the funny thing about both of them is that they're technically Disney movies, but they're not on Disney Plus. I couldn't find them.
Hmm.
So I had to actually go out and buy them.
Wow.
Yeah, physical copies because I looked and I could not find them. So
Shoot.
two Disney movies that were not on Disney Plus.
Well, you know what the funny thing is though, when we got Netflix, I started like scrolling through, and the first thing that popped up was was it is it called Little Monsters?
Yeah, with Howie
Yeah,
Mandel,
fuck yeah.
Fred
So
Savage.
yeah, that movie right there. My oldest, he sat down and watched it with me, and I was like very nostalgic because it was like when I was your age. dude, I love this movie. So it was really cool to have that experience. So I know what you're talking about there. It's
Yeah,
very
man.
very awesome watching those
There's some,
nostalgic films with your kids.
yeah, there's something really cool and surreal about watching movies you watched when you were a kid with your kids. Like especially when you were around the same age they were when you first saw it. It really is cool. And then they ask you like about it and stuff like that. And man, it's just really, really like a special moment, you know. You get to kind of experience that with your children. It's really, really, really cool, really special. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I just figured I'd throw those two in there because I did watch them too. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's it for me. That's all I got.
All right, right on. So with that, let's you ready to jump straight into George Romero?
Absolutely.
All right. So before we get to really talking about George Romero and stuff like that, what so do you have a list of films or whatever in your collection? I'm pretty sure I've got a smaller list than you.
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty much his whole filmography, except for two in particular. I don't have Night Riders and I don't have Bruiser.
Okay.
Uh, every I did a check in every one of his films, and then there's a movie I guess he directed that I didn't know about called The Amusement Park, which I don't know has a release or not. I'm not quite sure, but I don't have that either. So I guess technically that would be three, but I don't know if you could actually pick up a copy of this film because I don't know if it has a physical release. So um, yeah, I mean I do have the
Have,
his oh go ahead, bud.
I was about to ask, have you actually like physically tried finding that copy or a copy of that or no, you just can't find it?
I didn't do much research on it because I didn't realize he directed it. I didn't realize that he was the director of that movie. So that's got me kind of fascinated. That's got me kind of wondering, hey, can I, because I've never seen it like out and about or to conventions. I mean, we went to, we've been to plenty of conventions. I've never seen a copy of this film. I'm not quite sure what it's even about. I mean, I can imagine, given the title of the amusement park, the setting maybe, but I don't
Mm.
know, you know, anything else about the plot or anything. So this movie's kind of got me fascinated. Kind of want to see if I can dig up more on it because I've never really paid attention to that in his filmography. So
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna name off a few. These are just got. And like I said, my list is kind of small compared to yours, but of course, Night of the Living Dead,
mm,
um, The Crazies, Martin, Dawn of the Dead, Creep Show, Day of the Dead, Monkey Shines, Two Evil Eyes, Bruiser, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, and Survival of the Dead. So I believe I'm pretty sure I've got all his Dead films.
yeah,
Uh,
sounds like you got the whole Dead series.
yeah. Bruiser. So you know where I found Bruiser? I actually found Bruiser um in a thrift store for I think $2.
That's a good
So
score.
it's a great score, especially like once I seen the name associated with it, I immediately just nabbed it up. It was cool because it was I think that was my first intro to a George Romero film that wasn't a zombie film, you know? Because I mean that's what I mean. Let's face it, you think of George Romero, you ultimately go to zombies because
Yeah,
that's what he's known for.
I mean, he is yes, absolutely. He's the king of the modern zombie. I mean, without question.
Yeah. Which I do want to get into his take on zombies in a little bit too. But back to what I was saying, like I mean he that opened up my eyes to like so many more films that he had done that just wasn't about zombies, you know. I mean you had
Mhm.
like Bruiser, Monkey Shines, Martin, um I think
Even a film like Night Riders. I mean,
yeah,
um, yeah, which was a very different concept for what he you know for the genre. I mean, it was a different concept. So it's interesting that he partook in directing that film.
Yeah. Um. So what? Okay, let's go ahead and answer this amongst each other. What favorite George Romero film?
Ooh, boy. You know, if you had asked me this maybe 2 years ago or a couple years ago, I would have said Dawn of the Dead, no question. I've repeatedly watched that movie so many times, but over the past couple of years, I've grown more. I've I don't know, man. I've found much more of an appreciation for Day of the Dead. Um, for
Wow.
everything. The yeah, I mean, just the I love the somber tone. I love the gore. Just the effects were so fucking fantastic in that film in particular. I mean, that's when I think Savini got everything right with the zombies. Like even he wasn't, particularly happy with the way the zombies looked in Dawn of the Dead, which Romero actually was. He felt that they fit the comic book tone of Dawn of the Dead. So the kind of gray tone that they had. He
Mm-hmm.
said it felt like it fit the tone more of the film. So he was proud of it. Savini wasn't really proud of it. But Savini, I believe, was like very, very happy with how everything turned out with Day of the Dead. And I just love how, it's a deconstruction of human beings. And when shit hits the fan and, you know, people can't trust one another and they can't cooperate and they can't work together, how things can just escalate and just dissolve very quickly. And that's what I love so much about Day of the Dead. I love the fact that these people they won't trust each other. They're just completely against they won't even listen to each other. I mean, they won't hear each other out. And it's really telling. I believe if shit hit the fan and anything ever happened, like shit like that would go down. And this is how society would kind of dissolve and just fall apart.
Yeah.
So I've over the last couple of years, I just found more and more of an appreciation and love for Day of the Dead. So I would say Day of the Dead is probably my favorite Romero film, and it's hard to say because I love Dawn, but Day to me is just I don't know, man. It's really special.
Okay. Which to your point about um uh Tom Savini and stuff, was that the first film that Greg Nicotero worked on with Tom Savini?
Mm, I want to say yes. I'm almost like 85% sure that it is, but I don't want
Yeah.
to sound I know exactly, but I believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, had that not happened, we wouldn't have essentially The Walking Dead, or
Yeah.
as far as good special effects on it.
Yeah, and even Nicotero makes a appearance in Day of the Dead as one of the soldiers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, his career expanded, I think, from that point. I think, especially having a name associated with Tom Savini, you
yeah,
know, because he's gone on to. I mean, I've seen him do cameos on The Walking Dead as like a zombie and stuff like that. There was even one where there was one season I was watching it and I said, "Damn, that zombie looks almost like Greg Nicotero." I mean, had the long hair and everything. And then, sure enough, it was actually Greg Nicotero that actually starred as that zombie. But he
yeah,
also directed that episode, and then since then, he's apparently directed a fuck ton of those episodes. So it's pretty cool how his career kind of started out near this film and just expanded from there.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That school of I think K and B, the group that he was in, and how it all stemmed from Savini and Savini knowing Romero, and I mean it's just it's a legacy at this point. So um, it's really really cool, man. I'm glad to see it still kind of going on to this day. It just goes to show how Romero's legacy just lives on.
Yeah, definitely.
But what about you, man? What would you say is your favorite Romero film?
Oh man, I love everything George Romero. It's hard.
Oh
It,
yeah, disclaimer for me too. I do too. I love Night. I mean Dawn, of course. Even Creep Show. I love. I mean, so when I pick a favorite, it's real tough. It's not a sleight of hand. It's really tough. So I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. Oh, I honestly had a hard time with this one, because each of them are in itself really good. I mean, the crazies. Okay, so it narrows down for me um, as far as like it's not so much a zombie film that I love from him actually. But I have a special place for mainly three of them out of my collection: the Crazies, Martin, and Monkey Shines. Uh,
Oh, good. Good.
yeah,
Glad to see those films get love.
yeah. But out of those three, I would say Martin is ultimately my favorite one.
And I'm so happy with that answer because I was going to say Martin is such an underrated, underappreciated like film. It's so cool that you picked that one, man.
Yeah, and honestly, it to me it. So the reason why I like Martin so much, and there's this because it's underrated, like you said. However, like I mean, you would have never guessed that George Romero did a essentially a vampire film.
Hmm.
But this film in itself, okay, so film in general to me is an art form, okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, the artist, George Romero, is putting his work out there. And in my opinion, his best work of art is Martin. It's just something very beautiful about that film. I mean, it really is, all the way down to the black and white, and just
Yeah.
everything about that film is just so fun to watch. And honestly, I kick myself because I haven't watched it more. But that honestly needs to be a film that I need to rewatch over and over again.
It definitely is for me. It's one of those movies I didn't watch until much later. And I'm kind of glad I watched it when I did because I think, growing up being younger and stuff like that, and I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I do now, watching it a little bit older with
Hmm.
more of a cynical view of the world and everything. It's kind of one of those movies you don't want to see when you're younger. You want to see it when you're older, more mature. And I find that movie very fascinating. Um, and just I would love to sit down and just deconstruct that movie and just do like a really in-depth review on it because
Okay.
it's like I said, it's a fascinating movie. It really is.
Okay.
So
Why don't we do that? Why don't we do a review on it?
we should, man. Definitely. I wouldn't mind popping in Martin and watching it again. I think it's been about a year since I've seen it. I think I watched it last year for Halloween during my 31 days of Halloween. So yeah, I think it's time for a revisit. But yeah, that's a good answer, man. I love Martin too.
Yeah.
I'm with you
Don't
on
get me
that.
wrong. A close runner-up is Monkey Shines for me, actually.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Actually, the cool thing about that is when we met Romero, you actually got a chance to ask him a question about Monkey Shines, which was really cool.
Yeah. So okay, and you can kind of contest to this, and I'm sure the audience can as well, but because we're not the only ones here that goes to conventions, let's face it. So all of the audience probably goes to a convention or something, but you always want to try and take that wow factor for the celebrity, right? Because that's what we do. You're
Something
hoping.
something they don't get a lot of all the time. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure he gets, obviously where he got like the crazies, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead,
Mm.
Even Martin, I would imagine he would get quite often. But Monkey Shines, something about Monkey Shines, I was like, you know what? I bet you he doesn't get that often. So, in which it actually did kind of spark a fun conversation with him. Um, and then that's what you were bringing up. But uh, you want me to just talk about that real quick?
Absolutely, man. That's a
All
really
right.
good story.
Yeah. So yeah, so I point blank asked him because we were standing there talking, and he was like, "Oh, them damn monkeys." And I was like and I just remember like, asking him, I was like, or he was like, "Do you have a question?" And I was like, "Actually about that film." I was like, "How was it working with all those monkeys?" And he was like I said, those damn monkeys. And then that's when he explained to me that apparently it is a real thing that paraplegics, um, there are monkeys that are trained to take care of paraplegics, and I never knew this, and they're uh they're capuchin monkeys. But yeah, and so that's what he got on set. And supposedly he was promised a bunch of like fully trained monkeys. He said out of like the 50 monkeys that he got for the film or whatever to film with, only one of them was fully trained or something. So
That's a fucked
all
up
the rest
ratio right there.
he was sitting there saying like all the rest of them were just constantly running around all over set, shitting all over everything, and he said it was a terrible situation. um, but he said that that one monkey, was really good. I'm probably pretty sure that was probably the main one because it acted right, but all the rest of them were apparently acting like normal monkeys, tearing up everything and shitting all
I
over.
can imagine how much chaos that would be on set, having monkeys just shitting and just, I mean, just shitting everywhere. Like,
Uh,
imagine how awful that would have been to deal with.
I wonder how many packs of cigarettes George Romero went through on set.
He probably went through a fuck ton, honestly, man.
Yeah, but and another thing that I really like about that film is his wife actually starred in the film as Nurse Ratched, and he put her through some hell in that film.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I mean, he terrorized the shit out of her. So I was wondering if like some, I didn't get a chance to ask that, but I was wondering if something like were they fighting at the time or something, you know?
Yeah, I know she's made a cameo in movies. Oh, Martin, and Dawn of the Dead.
Right. Yeah.
So it's cool to see her making kind of cameos in his movies.
Mhm.
Just at that time, it's pretty cool.
Which she had a lot of hands into his films, didn't
Mhm.
she?
I believe,
'Cause
yeah.
I remember a story, or was it George Romero? It might have been Alfred Hitchcock actually. But he would it was either him or Alfred Hitchcock, but I know one of them they would write the screenplay and then they would take it to their wife and pretty much get it like approved by the wife.
Mm.
I don't know if that was George Romero. I'm wanting to think that was George Romero, but it might have been Alfred Hitchcock and his wife. I don't remember.
Might have been, yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Don't hate. What about you, man? So let's talk about your story with George Romero and how kind of special that was.
I mean, it was special, man. I kicked myself because I didn't really have a lot to say when I met him. I was kind of like starstruck, and I didn't really like. I thought about asking him a question and this and that, but I don't know. Man, he was super nice though. Don't get me wrong. He was
Oh yeah.
very very nice, and it just couldn't be you know a more amazing person. I kind of I don't know. He was a big one for me because I had grown up with Romero's films, and meeting him was like one of my dreams. And when I did get to meet him and stuff like that, I mean, he didn't disappoint. He was, larger than life, but very, very sweet and very, kind to his fans. And I just honestly, man, I wish I would have asked him a thought provoking question. Like even your monkey shines question was really cool. Like I wish I would have maybe asked him something about Bruiser, or brought up maybe the fact that, hey, I've been a fan of you since I was a kid. I remember going into the video stores, and you know, uh, I mentioned this on the collections. Well, we talked about in growing up in the video stores and picking out movies based on the artwork and stuff like that. I remember you know seeing Bruiser a lot in the video stores, and just that mask, and it always fascinated me. I always wanted to see it. It was a movie I always wanted to check out and see. And at that time, I was so young, I didn't realize, yeah, Romero directed this movie, and I had no idea. I didn't know at the time. I was little. I didn't even know who Romero was at the time. So I wish I would have maybe had a conversation with him about Bruiser, because I'm sure he doesn't get a lot of questions about that. I'm sure he didn't. Um, So that would have been cool, maybe bringing up that story and kind of asking him a little bit more about that movie, and you know, because it's another one like Monkey Shines. It's differing on his his mo. Not doing the zombie, not going the zombie route. And then I know after that, not so long after that, he would go on to direct Land of the Dead and start getting back into the Dead series and stuff like that. So it's kind of like an interlude in his career, and I really find that part of his career fascinating. And I wish I would have asked him more about that, but unfortunately, I'm just not going to get that chance. So
Yeah.
I kind of kicked myself for kind of tensing up and pausing and you know not asking him more questions because that would have been cool. And now that I think about it in hindsight, but it was I'll never forget meeting him and just even the small talk, just saying, hey, Mr. Romero, thank you for having a profound impact on me and my love of film with your films and stuff like that. He was just very appreciative and very nice.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you really remember this, but I remember him actually making a comment about Ken Free to you. Do you remember that?
I don't.
So he signed the box set, or you handed him the
Oh
ultimate Dawn of the Dead box set to
yeah.
sign, and he was like, "Damn it, Ken! You always take the best spot on the box."
Yeah, yeah, because Ken took the very top.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
George had to sign it somewhere else for you, and
yeah.
yeah, I remember him making that comment, and I remember laughing a little bit, so it was funny.
I remember getting like I got his signature on a lot of things. That's probably the one guest that I got signatures on multiple items from was Romero. I think I got three things in total signed by him. I got this really cool um like Spanish like one sheet poster of Night of the Living Dead signed by him, and then I got a still signed by him with him surrounded by a bunch of his zombies on I think the set of Day of the Dead, which is really cool. One of my favorite stills, and of course, my Ultimate Edition Dawn of the Dead box set. So yeah, I got a lot of signatures from him, man. It just kept going, but we went. I was like, I like this, and then I like this. I remember we were standing in line because he had a big line, and we
Hmm.
were standing in line looking at stuff. I'm like, man, wouldn't that be great to get signed? Or hey, wouldn't that be great to get signed? But fortunately, it was so tough to just pick one thing, you know,
I,
or
I
not
oh,
go
go ahead.
crazy. No, I'm just
Yeah,
saying, not go crazy spending $300 at his table.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. So we kind of went to him kind of first, didn't we? Because
Yeah,
pretty much like we walked in and because Friday we went and met him on that Friday,
yep,
and in which we kind of had an unwritten rule that we wouldn't really get signatures until Saturday, right? Because you
yeah.
wanted you wanted to pick through stuff mainly on Fridays. So we went in and then George was there and there was only like 20 people in his line. And it's like, well, if we come back tomorrow, we're gonna stand here for like 3 hours. So, but we really didn't stand there too long. It wasn't long at all, I think.
Maybe
It was
maybe it was the anticipation for me. Maybe that's what was doing it because it was just like the anticipation was, killing me to meet him, and maybe
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of. Because yeah, we do when we go to conventions, we make it kind of a thing to hey, we got to hit up the vendors first to see what all the movies and stuff they have because I mean the guests are going to be here tomorrow. Um, so
And
you wanna
that
try to get the first you want to try to get the first pickings on the movies and the merch and all that stuff
mhm.
before the big crowds come in, and then kind of just deplete it. So that's one of our unwritten rules, man. We hit up the vendors and stuff first when we get there. So
But yeah, it never works out that way though. So I
yeah,
think
sometimes it's south and yeah,
well
just
that one year we went, and I think it was the first year we went, and I was so starstruck. Because I'd never really met any of the horror icons or the horror celebrities until that day. And there I was like walking through and you could see from a distance all these celebrities and then I look over and Tom Adkins is just sitting at a table by himself and I was like, "Holy shit." So I ran up and met him real quick.
yeah, man,
And
that
that
was
was the
cool. I think
first
that was the first moment. Yeah.
yeah, that was and then we went and we met Ted White which was right beside him, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a great convention, man.
It
That was
was.
a really great convention.
That
We've
was
had some good times at conventions, dude. I'm telling you.
I miss
Man,
him. We need to go
I
back
miss him too, man. I miss him too. I really do.
just to go and be in the atmosphere would be fun.
Yeah, the atmosphere, man. The like-minded people, people that appreciate this, you know, this genre as much as you do. I mean, it's really cool. Then getting into conversations with people,
Yeah,
learn a lot about them and what their favorite movies are. It's fun.
that's what I was about to say. I know we're getting kind of off subject here, but
I'm sorry.
yeah, one of my favorite. Oh no, it's fine. I mean, this is all general conversation, right? We're just
Yeah,
talking about this.
what we do.
but but I promise we'll get back on subject here. But yeah, to your point though, Tony, like yeah, one of my favorite things to do at a convention is not to meet celebrities or even to find that wow factor film that I've been hunting for years. Honestly, my favorite thing to do at conventions is just standing there and talking to people in line and getting to meet them, because like you said, it's just really cool. Just because it's not every day you get to just walk up to a stranger and just talk about horror films and then
Yeah,
completely get you.
yeah.
So
Because I mean, when you're a horror fan, you kind of feel like you're in a box, and there's not a lot of people out there, around you that are. So it's like it's kind of like you have all this knowledge about movies and stuff like that. And I mean, who are you going to talk to about it besides your buddies and this and that? But the general audience, the general public doesn't really know. So when you get into a environment like that, and everybody there knows their shit, and it's really really cool, man. You go like, wow, yeah, you bring up some like fascinating movies that normal people don't really talk about, and you get in much more in depth conversation, and it's mind blowing that
yeah,
there's people out there like that that have the same taste and appreciation of these movies and this genre like that you do. So
definitely. Yep. um. So all right. So back to George Romero. We'll head on back, I guess.
mm-hmm. Re-
Um,
reel it in, man.
all right, so back to George Romero. So let's talk about his zombies. Obviously what he's most known for. Um, do you have a specific zombie in mind, like that you ultimately love, like the one zombie that because I mean he showcased all his films around at least one or two zombies.
There's been so many iconic zombies from George Romero's filmography, man.
Yeah.
Um, I think my favorite zombie, man, it's tough. It really is. Uh, I mean, Bub, of course. Everyone says Bub, though, man. Everybody falls to Bub because he is the iconic zombie.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I don't know, man. I'm kind of partial to now as far as zombie walks and everything like that. I like the Flyboy zombie when he turns into a zombie and he does that walk out of the elevator,
That's cool.
and even his walk really gets me because it just makes me cringe because of the way he's walking on his like ankles. Oh man, it looks painful, and I don't know how. I mean, it's really fascinating he was able to do that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think about that. Um, Man, yeah, he's got the definitive zombie walk for me, man. He really looks cool. Um, and as far as like the look of zombies, I always think of Doctor Tongue too. Like
Okay.
yeah, because I mean, he has the sickest, like most badass look of a zombie. I mean, it's really cool how
Yeah.
his jaws, how it's missing, and how the tongue just kind of slips out and just fall. Oh man, it's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
animatronics at its best.
Oh yeah, man. Savini at his, I mean, he was in his prime at that point. I mean, the effects in that movie are some of the best, man. They still blow me away when I pop in the Blu-ray and watch it. It's just especially the scene where you know Salazar he or no she's having a dream and Salazar like goes around, but like the guts and stuff fall out and stuff. Man, that shit looks so realistic. It's insane. I think about that. I mean, I think about that scene in particular when I think about that movie and how the effects were just amazing. And of course, you think of the end with Rhodes, and that's iconic. And there's just so many iconic scenes from that movie. But yeah, sorry to reel back into the topic. My favorite zombie walk and my favorite zombie mannerisms is definitely be the Flyboy zombie. But Dr. Tongue's my favorite look, man. He looks so cool.
Okay,
What
cool.
about you?
A lot of, like you said, a lot of people are going to say Bub because Bub is just such a, for some reason, you just kind of want to almost like love his character. You
Yeah.
almost get a sense of sadness with him, you know.
And I got to meet him too. He was really nice too.
Yeah, I wish I could meet him.
Yeah, he was cool, man.
But at the end of the day, I think my favorite zombie is Big Daddy, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm gonna go into depth with that because, so yeah, all your zombies, like I don't know, for some reason, I I like George's take on zombies. I really do. Okay, so
Yeah.
you've got your zombies that he explains it in a lot of his films where the zombies go back to everyday life, what they did, you know. And in that film, in Land of the Dead, you really see that. It's really captured. And I mean, yeah, and in Dawn of the Dead, it's captured because they go back to the mall. Well, people go shopping at the mall. So you see people walking around with shopping carts or zombies walking around with shopping carts and stuff like that. So you see people going back to their everyday normal lives that they're comfortable at, but they're dead,
Mhm.
you know? But Land of the Dead, in my opinion, really captures that for the simple fact that um, you see all these zombies, like there's a band of zombies, there was like I think there's a baseball player carrying around a baseball bat, stuff like that. So you see these zombies where they've actually and the scene where Big Daddy comes out. So there's a scene where I think it's like an opening scene, I think, right? Um, but you see a zombie walk on to the rope that dings at a gas station, and that's when you're subjected to Big Daddy. He comes out, he grabs the gas pump lever, and he holds it, and he gets confused. He has like a confused look on his face, like, "Where's the fucking car that I'm supposed to pump gas into?" You know?
Yeah.
And then he looks over at the humans, and it's almost like and then he starts communicating with the other zombies, which I thought was awesome. So ultimately, I mean, yeah, Bub the zombie is cool because Bub the zombie is like, okay, he's this smart zombie that they taught how to be smart. They showed him what a gun is, and stuff like that. And he's almost kind of remembering his backstory a little. But then you've got uh, Big Daddy, who's never really been taught this, and here he is teaching all the other zombies how to use actual weapons and stuff like guns and just all. At one point, he teaches the butcher zombie or whatever. He's got a fucking meat cleaver. He shows him, hey, knock down this like fence with this meat cleaver, stuff like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I love how that the opening with Big Daddy when you first see him, with the scene you're talking about. I love how that kind of foreshadows too into later on in that movie and what happens. It's kind of like a foreshadow. So
Yeah.
I mean I love that too, man. And definitely Big Daddy's like the smartest. I mean, he's a really smart zombie. I mean, he's able to get all the zombies to go, to get across the water, to Fiddler's Green to attack. And he's definitely like he's like a general leading the troops. Like he's the he's the Robert Lee of the zombies. I mean, he commands them, and yeah, they follow him, and he's like the alpha male, and it's really cool to see him like leading the pack. And yeah, I agree, man. Big Daddy's awesome. Which I got to meet him too, and he was Gene Clark is a fucking big dude, man.
He is.
he's a beast of a man. So, but he's nice too, man. Very energetic. Very energetic.
Very sweet guy.
Yeah, he loves to meet the fans and he loves to take pictures with them, and he's just so cool. It's cool, kind of getting to talk with him and
Hmm.
and kind of keep. I just try to match his energy. I mean, he was just so energetic. He was definitely having a good time at that convention.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good answer, man.
But the cool thing about Eugene Clark is I think he even I think we were together, and the first year I don't think I got a signature off him, but I think you did, and I actually stood there and he was like, I think he took a picture with you, and without paying for anything at his table, he's like, "You want a picture with me?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, sure." I thought that was really cool. That shows dedication to the fans. That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, man. He definitely. Kudos to him for doing that.
Yeah. So with that, I was actually going to get on that subject. So you obviously like the smart zombie effect versus just the slow dumb zombies. Um, I mean, well, I guess I'm asking that.
That's
Like,
well,
what
it's tough for
tech
me.
so?
I guess it all depends on the context. I mean, there's points where I do love it. I love that the zombies are evolving. They're learning. You know,
Mm,
it's almost like the whole fast zombies versus slow zombies, like that whole debate with horror fans, like oh, zombies shouldn't run, or this and that. But then people forget that zombies are pretty fast in Return of the Living Dead, and everybody loves Return of the Living Dead. So it's like a fine line. What is too much versus what is over the top. And I mean, I kind of feel the same way about the whole that zombies evolving, learning how to do things, and you know even in I know this is really just out there, but even like a movie like Burial Ground, which is a really obscure Italian zombie movie, which I really love. The zombies in there learn how to use tools, and they learn how to use the scythe, and I mean, in different iterations. And I mean, I give it back to Romero for kind of you know putting that the father of the modern zombie. He kind of gave zombies that kind of creative freedom where they weren't just like voodoo, mind controlled kind
mm,
of creatures. They were ghouls. So I love how different zombie movies have taken it, and in some instances you see them, you know, behaving like humans again, and really learning and using tools. And I think in the proper context it works. And like I said, the way Romero did it, I think it's flawless, and I think it works perfectly. It's subtle enough. He doesn't throw it at you, and I think it works perfectly in that way. But what about you, man? What do you think?
well, I mean, like you said, to your point, of course, every film is different when it comes to the zombies. Um, I don't know. You know what? As far as the zombies go, Dawn of the Dead kind of takes the cake for me as far as like, just when you think of, okay, some reanimated corpses. Like I don't see them running like 28 days later, stuff like that. I
Yeah,
see I see them being slow moving corpses. Um, because at the end of the day, how can something dead be running? If it's got dead tissue, you got rigor mortis setting in, stuff like that. So realistically, they're going to be moving a lot slower.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so my opinion, Dawn of the Dead, all the zombies in that film just kind of really set the tone for me as far as zombies.
Mhm.
Um, but with that being said, I mean, difference in certain films, like so there are some faster zombies in Land of the Dead, not too many faster zombies, but I recall seeing some a little bit faster moving than others. Um, and honestly, Land of the Dead, those are pretty cool zombies too. And again, with the smart zombies, I love the fact that zombies pick up weapons, start using them, you know,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, any zombie film that you see them talk about, well, they're picking up weapons and using them against people and stuff like that. And that's what I like about Burial Ground too. To your point about Burial Ground, just that
Yeah.
scene with the scythe or is the Sith or whatever. That's a really kick-ass scene. I love that scene.
Oh, fucking awesome, dude. I love that scene.
Yeah. Um, and then again, the looks in that film. I mean, that's just so cool. And just the difference in zombies. Um, I could talk all day long about Italian zombies. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, me too, man. We got to do an episode on Italian zombies, man.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking game for that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's definitely one we have to do, man. I could talk Italian zombie movies all day. Love it, love it. I could talk Italian movies, period, all day, but Italian zombie movies, man, I'm definitely down for that.
Oh yeah, yeah, we can definitely do that. Um, what haven't we hit on as far as the George Romero film?
Well, you know what's cool about Romero, and I wanted to bring this up.
Okay.
The fact that, and I wish he would have done it in the '90s, but he tackled every decade. He did Night of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead in the '60s, and then Dawn in the '70s, and then Day in the '80s, and then unfortunately he didn't get a chance to do it in the '90s. So he kind of takes like that era in the different decades and kind of showcases it in his movies, which I think is really fascinating. I think a lot. I mean, it's really cool to see a director do that, especially using zombies as a template for that. And
Hmm.
then, of course, he did Land in the early 2000s, and then I think did Survival come out in? I'm trying to think. In
Uh,
the
I, I would say early 2000s. I don't maybe. Well, I think it came out around like 2009, 2010, if I'm
Yeah,
not.
it came out in 2009, so it almost he almost got to the yeah. So I mean, it's really cool to see him kind of tackle a different decade and the kind of like the era of that decade and what things were going, what kind of things were going on. I mean, I love the fact that he was there, and I wanted to bring that up in the podcast too because I think it's really really fascinating.
Yeah, definitely.
The consumerism of the '70s, and I mean, he hits that in the beats of his films, and I think it's really
Oh, yeah,
cool.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Dawn of the Dead screams um, consumerism all
Yeah,
the way. Because it's about going to a mall and
yeah,
you know living a lavish life at the mall, stuff like that. So, yeah, I
absolutely.
I, I could definitely see it. And then you can kind of also see where like uh, kind of like the scum of the earth, the bikers, they want what the people in the mall have. You know what I mean? So it's almost like it's showing a double-sided edge there, a little like as far as so you see consumerism, stuff like that, but then you also see like people living very large in this, apocalypse, and then basically like I said, kind of scum wanting what they have and just coming in and ruin everything.
Yeah, just wrecking shit. Yep.
Um, I wanted to talk about uh, Dawn of the Dead though. There's something that you've always brought up and talked to me about, and I kind of want you to get, to talk about it a little bit more. But um, as far as a George Romero film or any zombie film for that matter, where you feel that the survivalists would actually survive. You always said that you thought that it was Dawn of the Dead. You want to elaborate on that?
Mm, some kind of. So how are we? Can you give me that one again, bud? Because I'm kind of lost with that one. Um,
So yeah, we've had conversations in the past about like any film that you would think that a survivalist would actually survive in the zombie apocalypse, and you felt that Dawn of the Dead kind of really captured that. Um, Do you remember that conversation at all in the past?
Vaguely. It's been a really early conversation because I think we talked. Did we? It was something about if the zombie apocalypse were to theoretically happen, what would be the best or what would be the best place to be?
Hmm.
And out of Romero's films, which one captured that essence of what we thought would be the best place to be or the best scenario, and which one would be the best, you know, which one would kind of mirror that.
Yeah.
Um, that's tough too, man. Because I mean, you don't want to blanket yourself off with nowhere to go, like lock yourself in, you know, lock yourself in the basement or whatever, and and
Hmm.
you want more of a kind of open surround. But it's tough though, man, because a lot of things can happen. It's I don't know. I've had this thought, and this I've had this conversation before, but it's even people that aren't really, just people bringing up like The Walking Dead and people saying, hey, what would be the best scenario for a zombie apocalypse? What would you do? And this and that. And I've thought about it a lot. And I've changed my answer a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Um, and it's tough, man. Now, my fantasy would be to just absolutely just go the Dawn of the Dead route and just be in a mall where you have all the stuff and you can close it off and you can turn it into a home like they did. And man, that was so cool, man. I almost like wanted to live, vicariously through them to experience all that. Not the zombies, of course, but just to experience the ultimate freedom of doing whatever you want. And this wasn't like a mall that, we have now. This was a mall that had a bar in it. It had all this amazing stuff. Like there was a bank. I mean, there was just so much shit that you could do. And man, that would be so much fucking fun. Just to experience all that without having to worry about, waiting in lines and this and that. I mean, it's really cool, and that'd be my fantasy world. But I know that's not realistic at all, especially
Well,
nowadays.
the other point that you used to bring up was the kind of the demise of the characters in Dawn of the Dead, and what their downfall was the fact that they got cocky.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I mean, they didn't want to, essentially they didn't want to give up what they had. Like they worked hard to get what they had in that mall, and they weren't just about to just hand it over. So there was a lot of pride, and the pride led to the downfall of their home and what they established in the mall. And I mean, there were a lot of things that went on. Roger kind of losing his sanity and his grip on reality, and kind of being a little bit cocky and reckless, and then he wound up getting bit, and what happened to him, and there's a lot of like little things that set up the demise, and then at the end when Peter's like, when the zombies are you know swarming in, and he's sitting there with a gun to his head saying, hey, do I take my life or do I just because he told Fran to go ahead and go in the helicopter, go ahead and leave. He didn't want to go, he wanted to stay because he wanted to face it. And I guess he you know, had a revelation, and then it clicked, and then he fought his way through and got back up to the roof, and they took off. But then the ending is so bleak because you don't know. She's like, "Where are we going?" Or he's like, "Where are we going?" And they're like, "I don't know." I mean, they're like, "I don't know." I mean, no one knows. So it's like, well, I guess we'll see what happens, kind of thing. Like it just sort of ended, and it was kind of like, oh, well, you just anything can happen. I mean, the stark ending of day to dawn was like it's crazy. Um, but yeah, he had that internal conflict at the end, and she was a strong character because she didn't want to just sit back and let everybody else do something. She wanted to learn how to fly the helicopter, which was smart. Just in case anything did happen to Steven's character, because he was the only one that knew how to fly the helicopter. If something
Hmm.
happened to him, they were trapped. They couldn't leave. So somebody else learning to pilot the helicopter was a smart move, and I like that idea. And she was a strong character, man, even for just having that idea, and then not wanting to just hang around and let the men do everything and make all the decisions and stuff like that. She makes a point to say, "Hey, I'm not going to be den mother or anything. I want in on the plans. I don't want to say on what we do." So I mean, she was a strong character too. So I mean, there was a lot of fascinating things that went on in Dawn, and that's what makes the movie so timeless to me and so well made and a classic. All those
Mm,
little intricate things going on.
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. Well,
there's a lot to there's a lot to you know talk about when it comes to that movie. So
yeah, yeah. I love every aspect of that film. As far as okay, so let's say this. So favorite Dead film from him. You said Day of the Dead, right?
oh, for me, I mean, as much as I love Dawn, I mean, like I said, for the longest time, Dawn was one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And not to say that it's not or it's went down the list or whatever. No, it's still very special. I mean, I took that to get signed by Romero, so it's a special movie to me. But I just with everything that we've experienced lately and stuff like that, I connect more with Day just because it seems to fit what we're going through as a society and what what's going on with people just not listening and just not getting along and throwing their opinions around and not listening to other people's opinions, not
Hmm.
taking them to heart. And I mean, I'm not trying to get on a tangent here, but it seems more prevalent now with Day than it does anything. So I just it and then I love Day. I mean, I really do. Everything about Day is I love me, man. I love movies with a sense of dread and just and a depressing kind of atmosphere. And then Day's got it spades, man. It's got that, and I think that's why I love it so much. With other things, of course, that I threw out there too. But yeah, Day for me is it, man. I love that movie so much. Not to take anything away from Dawn, because Dawn, I agree, is well, it's a classic. But right now, Day for me is tops. And I think the effects are perfect in that movie. Like that's the pinnacle when it comes to zombie makeup effects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But your favorite Dead movie is
Land.
Land? Land, really?
Yeah, like I said, it's something about the smart zombies and just
Yeah.
the zombies fighting back, and not so much like the ruthless killing zombies that are always portrayed. These are just literally zombies. That so there's a storyline there almost because they're killing these zombies, they're torturing these zombies just because what they're mindless dead people.
Yeah.
So you got groups like literally there was like a group doing a photo op with zombies or whatever, which I think was Simon Pegg as one of
Yeah.
the zombies or something like
Yeah.
that.
And
Um,
yeah, Simon Pegg and I think what's the director's name? Edgar Wright? Yeah, Edgar Wright too.
yeah,
The guy that
Shaun of the
directed
Dead.
on Dead, yeah.
Yeah. But so you've got that happening. So you got this like these rich people that, pay to shoot zombies and torture zombies and stuff like that. Um, and obviously zombies are tired of this situation, so they're gonna fight back.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
almost
really like that.
yeah, it's almost a play on classism, and that's what yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's what I like about that film. And then of course, like I said, the zombies getting smart and using weapons and stuff like that. That's really cool to me. I like that. So altogether, I think Land of the Dead kind of takes the cake for me as far as any of his Dead films. I did like when I did watch it, I need to revisit it, but Survival of the Dead, I did like that one too. Which I know kind of got some hatred in the community a little bit. I think a lot of people didn't really understand it and just didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I I liked it for what it was.
It got the same hatred as Diary of the Dead got, man. Diary of the Dead got blasted too.
Hmm.
I remember those two in particular were just hated on. extensively. It's been it's been a long time since I've seen both. I think the last time I saw Survival was with you. I think we watched it together.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's the last time I saw it. And then I watched Diary. Like, oh man, I can't remember now. Maybe when it first came out. It's been a minute. So yeah, but I think I believe I'm not 100% on it, but I believe that Romero wanted to, he wanted to make um Land of the Dead essentially what the script was and everything. He wanted to make that in the 90s, I believe, and just couldn't get oh no, excuse me. I think he wanted to that original premise in Land he wanted to do for Day, but the budget just wouldn't adhere to it, so he had to scale back his original script and kind of wait until he actually had the proper budget to do it, which in turn would be in the early 2000s. So Day of the Dead could have been much different if he would have had a proper budget.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty cool. Imagine. I'm glad everything turned out the way it did, though, because I think Day and Land both were excellent.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, maybe it's a good thing he did, or everything went down the way it did.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Well, you got any more to say about old George Romero?
Nothing, man. I'm just I'm so glad. He's one of my favorite filmmakers. Rest in peace, George. It's awesome to meet you. Thank you for all the memories, all the great films and stuff like that. Your legacy will live on through celluloid. So
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
thank God we have thankfully we have the movies, man. I mean, his
Yeah.
legacy will live on and live on through younger generations because younger generations will pop them in and watch them, and he'll just continue to live on, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think he said, I think he quote, I heard a quote from Romero one time where he's like, just like my zombies, I won't stay dead. So I thought that was pretty, gives me chills thinking about it, with his legacy and stuff like that. And his movies just living on through generation after generation, people watching them and discovering them for the first time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 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 Well, you ready to land this plane?
it's Lander, man.
All
Get
right,
ready.
folks. Well, that concludes our episode of uh, the Midnight Monster Corner. We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for staying tuned for this George Romero exclusive episode. Um, just everything about George Romero we love. And we're diehard fans of him, and we're just glad that we could kind of like recap on George Romero's legacy on this episode. Um, if you have any stories that you want to talk about, uh, you know, uh, be it you meeting George Romero, whatever, leave a comment down below. And then also head over to our Facebook group. It is a closed group. You ask, we'll let you in. And there, just share your stories about George Romero. We would love to read them, hear them, talk about them. Um, let's generate a conversation about him and all his wonderful films and just legacy in general. With that, you can also like, share, subscribe to this episode. And this is actually episode 14. So episode 15, we are wanting to do a Q&A. We haven't gotten any participation yet, but um, we would really like for you guys to ask us a bunch of questions. Let's get some answers going for you guys. And once you ask a question, we will be entering your name into a raffle. And I believe I've got a couple prizes that I will mail out to whoever wins that raffle. So um, let's generate a good conversation. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get some audience participation. Tony, you got anything, brother?
Oh yeah, and in the comments, leave us your favorite Romero film. What you guys think is his best movie, or your personal favorites, or I'd just love to know. Generate a conversation about it. Really cool to get everybody's taste and what they love from the legend that is George Romero. So yeah, if anybody's got a favorite, or drop it in the comments below, or talk about it in the Facebook group.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's what I got, man. You killed it.
All right. Well, like always, guys, later.
Later.